You know, I started this chapter of Ferris Noise's journey with the intention of getting a Master Quest cape. Still quite a ways away from that, but there's a lot of overlap with getting the Completionist cape, so let's do some comping today. There are several achievements associated with the elf clans in Prifddinas. For the Master Quest cape, you need to get to wave 20 in the Rush of Blood D&D. I'd already done that ages ago, actually, so we don't need to worry about that. I don't know why I brought it up. It's pretty easy anyway, especially with how much power creep there's been since 2014. I don't know why I don't do this every week. It takes all of 10 minutes and the rewards are alright. That tends to happen to me a lot with weeklies. I forget about them until about an hour before reset, Tuesday evening. Reset for me is at 7 p.m. EST. And then I panic and I don't do it. Oh well. For the comp cape, you need to unlock a bunch of Prifddinas related titles, all 8 of the clan titles, and Morvran's the famous title. Some are faster to unlock than others, but let's just focus on one for now. Because the only thing notable about the Ironworth elves is Morvran himself, the title of the Ironworth predictably relates to him. You need to do 8 Dark Beast Slayer tasks assigned specifically by Morvran, not by other masters. Because I didn't want this to be the last achievement I had to do, especially since it'd be kinda grindy and boring, I figured I'd get a jump on it sooner rather than later. Do a task here and there, spread it out a little, you know. Well, Morvran immediately decided to give me his special assignment. Now, I could freely tell him no and just get a regular task, but it left me with the same thought. I didn't want this to be the last achievement I needed to do, especially since actually getting assigned this task is a dice roll. How many tasks would I need to get from him to get this special assignment again? How many Slayer points would I need to burn through? I didn't want to know the answers to those questions, so I bit the bullet and accepted his challenge. The challenge is simple. Morvran has a list of 10 bosses he wants you to kill. Each time you kill one, you get a dark crystal, one of 9. These dark crystals grant negative effects which make combat a bit more dangerous. For the boss kills to count, you need to have all the crystals you've already collected with you. You can't be cute with it and bank them. The 10 bosses are the Dagannoth Kings, all 3 count as a single boss, the Giant Mole on hard mode, the Queen Black Dragon, the 4 generals of God Wars Dungeon 1, Commander Zilyana, Krill Susaroth, General Grador, and Kriara, the Kalphite Queen, the King Black Dragon, and finally, Araxor. It's a Brady Bunch reference, you get it? You know, there was a thing that happened on Nick at Night with the Brady Bunch, and it scared me. It was Florence Henderson, and she was saying something about her not playing ball in the house, and then they made her mouth move like a puppet. It was creepy. It's lived with me for the rest of my life, and I'm scared. Always. So I was worried about this challenge mostly because of Araxor, but I've got a few kills under my belt, so maybe this wouldn't be too bad. The Minion and Darkness paths were open at the time. I hadn't done Minion path before, but it couldn't be that hard, right? And of course, like the cheap bastard I am, I decided to fight Rax, an uninstanced encounter to save a couple 100,000 GP, which spawned him in his ranged form, the least convenient form for him to be in since I was using magic. Surprisingly, this wasn't much of an issue. Yeah, my accuracy was a bit stunted, but I was more bottlenecked by the minions taking their sweet time spawning. Apparently there's some speed strat which involves running down the path and letting the minions spawn on later phases or something. I don't know. I'm not taking risks today, so I just killed all the minions before transitioning to phase 3. I'm still having a lot of trouble with the final phase, the Araxi portion. The prayer switching gets me all flustered, and I'm not totally sure how the hell to handle that black sludge bouncing around the room. I'll figure it out eventually. Troubles aside, I killed Rax and got my first crystal. Which one was it? I don't know. I didn't actually care to check because frankly the debuffs they give aren't super hindering. There are 3 that increase damage you take by 25%, 1 for each combat style, 3 that reduce your damage output by 25%, 1 for each combat style, 1 that doubles the rate at which your prayer points drain, another prevents you from using ultimates or special attacks, and finally 1 reduces the effectiveness of healing by 25%. The hardest boss on this list where any of the debuffs might be an issue is Araxor, and we've already got that squared away. The wiki has a recommended order to kill the bosses in, and the second one is Dagannoth Kings, probably because they pile you immediately and it's best not to have the 3 crystals that increase damage taken. They have no mechanics though, so it's just hit them until they stop moving kind of a boss fight. Third, we've got the Queen Black Dragon. I haven't been here in quite some time, so I was quite surprised how much easier it was to kill her. Power creep really is something brutal. Fourth is Hard Mode Giant Mode. Hard mode giant mole. Yeah. This, I assume, implies it's the 4th hardest boss on this list, but I didn't see a difference between it on hard mode and normal mode. She uses her specials more frequently, I guess, but power creep, whatever, trivial. Next are the God Wars Dungeon 1 bosses, Zilyana, Kriara, Krill, and Grador. Funny thing is, I assumed these needed to be done on hard mode as well. I figured normal mode was too easy for a Morvran challenge, so I made this part a little harder on myself for no damn reason. Unsurprisingly, the hardest of the 4 in hard mode was indeed Zilyana. And after you kill her, you need to make sure you use an ultimate on her within 10 seconds after her death, because she kneels down and starts praying to Saradomin or something, and if you don't do it, she'll heal to 50%, and you'll have to do this all over again. I'm gonna assume she keeps healing to 50% if you don't use that ultimate after she quote-unquote dies and kneels down. I mean, maybe she dies all the way the second time you bring her down to 0 health, I don't know, but just use the ultimate the first time around and you don't have to find out. Hard mode Kree is similar to the fight during the World Wakes, tornadoes and such, pretty easy. Hard mode Krill is actually something I've been doing electively just for the improved pet chance. There's a case to be made that this hard mode is a bit easier than normal, only because he doesn't do the prayer-hating special attack. You can pray as much as you want against hard mode Krill, and he just has to deal with it. His rapid attacking mechanic can be a bit dangerous if you aren't praying against melee, and the spike he summons from the ground can easily kill you if you aren't paying attention, but for the most part it's pretty simple. Listen, the pet drop rate is like 5 times higher in hard mode, but hard mode certainly isn't 5 times harder, so it's totally worth it. It was just before Grardor that I realized these fights didn't have to be on hard mode, so in honor of saving GP by not making an instance, I just fought Grardor in an uninstanced room without a modicum of difficulty. 2 more regions to go. The Kalphite Queen, simple enough, just bring melee for the first phase and ranged or magic for the second, and finally the King Black Dragon. You could probably come in here naked. As long as you had a super anti-fire buff, you'd be fine, he's a target dummy. Once we get the final crystal, they all teleport out of our inventory and, I assume, return to Morvran. This is a call to action. You should subscribe. It's very late right now and I am tired, but I need to get this video up by tomorrow. Also, check me out on Twitch, Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon EST. As a reward, we get 50,000 Slayer XP, 45 Slayer points, and apparently we can also reattune our Max Guild boss portal once for free, but that portal has probably seen little use since the introduction of War's Retreat. You can attune those portals without needing to have killed the boss at least once before though, so it has its uses. At least I think that's the case because I was able to use that before I got an Araxi kill, because getting to Araxor's dungeon cave hideout is annoying. The first time we complete this challenge, we get the famous title, a completion escape requirement. It's nice to have another one out of the way. And as of recording this, I now realize you can actually spend 100 Slayer points once per week for Morvran to assign you this special task, so that thing I said earlier about it being a dice roll and being random and not being able to get... It doesn't have to be a dice roll if you don't want it to be. Could I go back and rectify the script, change the paragraph and the previous one explaining it, and remove this one commenting on the potential changes I could have made to the script? Yeah, I definitely could. Back to the Dark Beast thing. There's only one way to guarantee a Dark Beast task from Morvran, or any Slayer Master that assigns them actually, and that's with a Dark Beast Slayer Mask, the Mask of Gloom. Originally available only from Treasure Hunter, the Mask of Gloom was added to the Shattered Worlds Reward shop back in, I want to say 2017, for a paltry 135 million anima. There have been several updates regarding Shattered Worlds and its rewards and the prices, and it's a mess. The speed at which you get anima has changed. The actual way you play the game has changed. I don't know the history of it. It's 135 million anima now, and that's all that matters. That's roughly 2 Bladed Dives worth of anima. And if you've ever grinded out Bladed Dive, you know how painstaking Shattered Worlds can be. But here's something I've noticed. When I was initially grinding out Bladed Dive, I was a much lower level with much worse gear. World 50 to 60 were my limits. Now I can quite easily speed through Worlds 80 without much thought. But rather than drop myself into Shattered Worlds for hours on end, I took a more casual approach over several weeks. The weekly challenges can net you almost 10 million anima, and sometimes the gold challenges aren't all that difficult if you take them slow. You can also use a weekly reset token here for another crack at the challenges and another crack at the rewards. I don't know why I said it as a crack, as if there's like a chance that you'll get it. If you if you do the challenge, you get the reward. That's just the way it is. Whenever I came here to do the weekly challenges, I also ran a few 10 or 15 worlds for a little extra anima, but I wasn't pushing higher worlds. Instead, I ran worlds that I knew I could do easily and quickly, because if you complete a world fast enough, you can skip the next one. Moral of the story, spread this grind out if you want the masks. Do a half hour of Shadow Worlds here and there, that's what I did, and I had enough anima to buy the Mask of Gloom in no time. Now, once per day, I can wear the mask and get Morvran to assign me a Dark Beast task. My rhymes are sick. Rather than having to grind Slayer points and skip tasks over and over again, I can casually grab Morvran Dark Beast tasks every now and then and get the Of the Iorwerth title at some point. The Christmas event. You know, the one with the Aurora die, which received varying levels of criticism? Yeah, that one. So I actually lucked out and got probably the best thing possible from one of these gift boxes. It's a cute little bird. A European robin. He was originally a treasure hunter reward, but I guess Santa stuffed him into a gift box just for me. I love him. And now, my other robin, Red, has a friend. I know I criticize Jagex not infrequently, but damn. I can't get over how cute they make the birds in this game. I love all of them. I've said before, it's impossible to grind out farming, that it's kind of a passive thing you work on while doing other things. Well, surprise, that was another lie. It's actually possible to grind out a lot of farming XP and very quickly at that, but it requires some setup. First, you need 116 farming. Yeah, already, that's a steep requirement. I guess you could use a pork pie at 111, but nah. You also need several leafy growth potions. If you're anything like me, you keep approaching the 1 million magic bean cap and need to spend them on something before you can sell more animals. So I've been stocking up on the leafy potions. They're good for herbs too. The method is simple, and I'm sure you've heard of it. Plant golden dragon fruit seeds, use the growth potion, check the health, harvest the fruit, remove the plant, and repeat. I had almost 80 golden dragon fruit seeds from, I think, all the elder troves I collected during the Carapac grind. At least that's where a majority of them probably came from. It doesn't matter. Ironman, I didn't buy them. Obviously, you want to bring farming urns with you for this. It's an extra 20% experience, 25% with an urn enhancer. Or you could do what I did but forgot to record and get a bunch of erratic effigies from the Effigy Incubator monthly D&D and fill them up with the farming XP you get from this. Every 60,000 XP, you crack it open and get a lamp you can use on farming, hunter, runecrafting, or divination. Obviously, I went with farming because I'm currently training farming, and who cares about XP and the other skills are already 99. Rarely you'll get a dragonkin lamp, which you can use on any skill, which went straight to herblore. This effigy thing is the patent pending face hand method of training herblore, by the way. If you're gonna do this, I'd recommend getting the bountiful harvest reward from the Garden of Courage shop first. It boosts your yields from bushes, fruit trees, grapevines, and cacti by 50%. More yield is better than less yield, if you ask me. If you want to argue about that, then you're an idiot. I'm being so aggressive. Those seeds weren't enough to get me to where I wanted to be, but I was close. I had some carambola saplings in my bank, and with a few fruit growth potions, I was able to plant and harvest enough to get just a hair's breadth away from leveling. And trust me, I know what a hair's breadth is. Luckily, the next Wilderness Flash event was the Evil Bloodwood Tree. If you hadn't watched my video on these events, why the hell not? I'll remind you that every event gives a pretty substantial amount of XP considering how quick the events are and how frequently they occur. Each stage of an event, most of which only have one stage, awards XP in the skill governing the event or that stage. At first, I thought it was a standard lamps amount of XP, like a large or a huge lamp, but it seems to be a small, medium, and large lamp's worth, or one small's lamp worth less than a huge. It's not one single. Doesn't matter. There's a table. You can probably find it, or just do the event and you'll see that it's a good amount of experience. I don't know what they did, but just it's fine. Stop asking questions. In the case of the Evil Bloodwood Tree, the first stage grants farming XP, the second woodcutting XP, the third firemaking XP. After feeding the sapling a bunch of bones, we get 88,000 farming XP, enough to get 119 farming. At 119, we can plant and harvest money trees, a seed you will find randomly while training farming, and that will pile up like those trail begons from Wilderness Flash events. Give me a goddamn onyx. They take a bit under 2 days to grow, and you can harvest them for 60,000 farming XP, which isn't too bad, and 3 money tree cash bags with a total value of between 1 and 1.5 million. Well, technically it's 999,999 coins, but it's a million. You know, when I was getting these at lower levels, I was kind of excited at the prospect of manifesting gold from the dirt, but now, I mean, cool, I guess. By the way, here's something neat. A recent video of mine made it into Jagex's community showcase. Really exciting. It's just, in the tagline, they used the wrong there, and thanks for watching.